hear from artist Anastasia Azure, who collaborated with a scientist and ended up making some really amazing, elaborate sculptures out of fishing line, as well as photographs to convey the physics in the ocean.
Hello, my name is Anastasia Azure, and I am an artist, a sculptor and weaver to be specific. I was paired with Larry Pratt, who is a physical oceanographer. Larry studies the ocean currents in ocean eddies. They are spiraling waters. And I met with Larry last year, and he explained to me about what he studies. If you picture a cylinder of water, and there's water spiraling around like a tornado in one direction, and then it's also overturning and upwelling in another direction. Larry is able to take a particle, let's say color it red, and follow that particle around. Now, I would think that it would just get all mixed up, but what happens is that this particle actually traces a very specific path and makes a shape. One of the shapes that it makes is a donut shape, a horizontal ring. And then around that is an even bigger donut shape, and even more complex shapes interlock. As an artist, I'm inspired by the elegance of geometry, so I was taken by these diagrams. I spent 3 months this summer doing research and trial and error of attempting to weave these shapes. And essentially, it was a lot of error. And the project came to a crossroads. And it turns out that Larry, in addition to being a scientist, is also an artist. He's a photographer that works with light. So we collaborated on a really fun project and came up with a way of attaching a little light to the end of a string. And I whirled the string around, and Larry took a picture of it. And it was so much fun to be able to play with motion, to be dancing with these lights, and to come up with creative solutions of how to actually trace these shapes in space. And Larry was able to make composites, as you see up here on the left. And that was one form that this project took. The other direction is if, again, you picture the cylinder, cut it right in the middle, there's a cross-section. That cross-section has a very, very complex pattern. That pattern is what I used as the blueprint for the sculpture that I've titled Within the Ways of Water. The sculpture is made entirely of fishing line, and the fishing line that I've used is really thick fishing line. It's 500-pound test. And essentially that means this fishing line could hold a 500-pound fish. So it's really thick. You think of a piece of spaghetti. And I needed to roll it down to turn it into a piece of linguine to be able to weave with it. So in addition to doing that, I was able to dye the fishing line. And an interesting part of this project has been, as an artist, how to translate scientific data. So for instance, ocean eddies are warm in the center and work their way to being cooler. I took this principle of the contrasting temperatures as inspiration for the color in my sculpture. So I have intersecting layers of orange and blue running through the sculpture, and while they are not textbook scientifically accurate, they are my artistic interpretation that I feel are very dynamically visual. And so I invite you to visit the sculpture upstairs, because as an artist, I am attempting to make very complicated science accessible through art. So I hope that when you stand in front of my sculpture, you're able to experience that turbulent motion of the ocean.